I had this interview to see Mr. Sanguinetti, and I went up to his office, and he was a very sharp dresser, Sanguinetti, a very dapper man. Not very big, but he was big enough. Everybody was frightened to death of him. And he asked a few questions, and then he said to me, "Oh, you're due." He said, "You can start on Monday," which I did do. And I think I can, I'm not quite sure, but I think I started on nights on Monday night. And he used to wander around the mill, and everybody was frightened to death of him. If anybody see Miss Sanguinetti walking around, you either were doing something or you grabbed the broom and made out you were doing something. Otherwise, he was a stickler. He really was. And he used to have the place clean as a whistle. You never see no waste paper lying about while he was around. So that was the start of it. Then I started on the collie gangs. There was the big stones what used to run around in the middle of a basin, or a basin effect anyway, all still. And there used to be the collie gang man and his finisher, and I was the finisher. I started as a finisher. It's just a matter of feeding paper with water added, and so it mixes up as it goes round. And then from there it went emptied out in tins. There used to be 4 tins at a time to go to the beaters. The beater had a colourman and a helper, and the colourman used to do the colouring. The helper used to empty tins, 2 tins either side of the beater. That's where they used to go around and added colour to that. I can always remember Charlie Wells. He was a finisher there, and he's a rare character, very old. He's older than, I mean, I was old. I wasn't old when he was 3 times older than me. Anyway, he was there, and everybody used to bring their food to eat while they was working, or sitting down by the side of the job and working. And he had a very nasty habit. He used to eat his food, and he always carried a piece of sacking in his oval trousers in the pocket at the back. And he always used to eat his food, and I watched him time and time again. I used to have to look away in the end. He used to take his teeth out, polish them with the cloth and put them back in again after he'd had his food. That was really funny. Of course, we made paper for John Dickinson's. We used to make medals for John Dickinson's. We made paper for Williamson's, for tickets, rail tickets, bus tickets, all that sort of thing. That was on number 1 machine. The number 2 machine upstairs, eventually I got to that one. And my father retired from that after I got up there, and I took over the collie gang for a while until they went over to pulpers, and we started using pulpers instead of collie gangs. And the number 2 machine used to make some very good paper. We used to make paper for paper cap, what they called it, paper cap. And it was pure white paper, and it was made for jam pot covers, when they used to have jam pot covers. They don't now, they used at that time. And that's how it used to be made. And that used to run for a whole week on that, nothing else but that. About 50 tonne a week they used to make on that. And then we used to do other colours, different colours in different papers. There was visiting cards and that sort of thing. But, anything else?
Oh, thanks, that's great. One thing I wanted to ask about is Jim Patterson. He said to me that you had a mad pulperman. Was there a crazy pulperman who works?
Pulperman? Well, George Stevens.
Yes, George Stevens.
Oh, George Stevens, he was as mad as a marsh hare. He was a hairy man. He used to love to show his chest out. He used to wander around with no shirt on at night. And it was a rare case, it really was. He come down there once, he went underneath, he used to go underneath the machine sometimes, but the pulp used to get down, jammed underneath. And we had to get down sometimes to get it out. And he went down there once. I can't remember him all the time because he come back, where he got it from I don't know. He had this blinking great wig on, or stuck on his head as well. Everybody roared and laughed. But it was a real, I don't know, it was a real mad case. As I said, he thought he was big and brave. He was too. He was quite a big chap. But he could be a very nasty bloke when he wanted to. His language was something to be believed, believe me. But every other word was, you know, the sort he was used. And he wasn't fussy who he said it to, that was the point. I know one time he come into work and his stomach was ballooned up. I don't know why it was, but it was all ballooned up. And so one of the chaps said, well, you have to go to hospital. Kenny Waters, he was there at the time. He said, I'll take you. So I took him to the West Harts. And Kenny Waters come back and he said, I didn't know where to put my face. He said, the nurse come there and she looked at him and she said, oh dear, what's your trouble? So he said, well, it looks like I'm effing, what, baby in there? Oh dear, it was. Kenny Waters said, I had to walk away. I didn't stop there, I had to walk away from it. It was so funny. But he was that sort of man, he didn't care what he said. He'd upset anybody, you know. That was the way of going on. Yeah.
So have you lived in this area all your life? Have you lived in Hemel Hempstead?
Hemel Hempstead, yeah.
How has it changed over the years? How has it developed?
It's changed an awful lot. Not for the better, I don't think either. I sometimes think it was better when it was just a lovely little village, and it was a nice village, actually, it really was. Because like everything else, it's. I think it's deteriorated myself, but there you go. That's only one person's opinion, not everybody, I don't suppose, for a minute.
What effect did the Newtown have, do you think? When the Newtown, all the developments for Hemel Hempstead, was that a big change?
Well, we had I had one of the little cottages in Mill Street, number 21 Mill Street, that's where I lived. And next door to me was the mill house. The engineer, Frank Batcher, was the engineer at the time, and he was a very nice bloke. We used to go to football. He liked football, he liked Watford, same as me, and he had a motorbike and a sidecar, and he always took me in the sidecar because I had no vehicle then, so I used to get in the sidecar and we used to go. Yeah. Only trouble with that place is there used to be an awful lot of rats about. You could see them, I mean, when I used to, on the beta floor, you could look down and you could see rats running around there. And quite good. People used to throw bread down there because they knew it will get eaten anyway. And of course there was plenty of water. There was water everywhere. No matter where you went, you couldn't get away from it. But they had some of the nicest spring water you could ever get. I mean, I should imagine, I don't know, but the well must be still there in the garden now. There was a well in the garden, in the mill garden. All the spring water come from there, and that was really something, you know, really nice to drink. Very, very, very cold it was.
Do you still keep in touch with the people you worked with?
Well, the only one I've actually, well, Dennis Mitchell. I don't know, have you heard from Dennis Mitchell at all?
I haven't.
He lives at the top of Lawn Lane there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, he lives up there. Well, he was a machineman there. I mean, I went from a finisher on the collie gangs to a colourman, and then a colourman to a colourman foreman. So I used to do both jobs at the same time. Because, I mean, we never had a big crews or anything like that. The most was only about 3 in a crew, so that so I used to fit in amongst whatever was going on at the time. When I first time started, of course they used to have a big engine at the bottom, right at the bottom of the mill. And when you start up on a Monday morning, I always remember you have to go down there, and there used to be a big bar, and you used to turn it round to a certain degree on the big drive engine. And that certain degree was when they started up, and the foreman used to start up, and they'd run like that until the weekend, and they were shut down on the Saturday. That was until they went on to steam, but that was a different thing altogether then. They shut that, yeah.
What were the working conditions like? What were the working conditions like? Was it tough work?
Well, I suppose it was hard work. I'll give you that. And it was hot work at times. A machine house used to, in the summertime, it could get down to 120 degrees in there, and they used to sweat buckets. But like everything else, all these things are hard work at times, but you get over it there. Because it has changed a lot, because they got the machine for cutting sheets, and that was quite a big machine. That work went in. I even tried a little bit of that at times. But yeah, they had a fill-in where people were missing. People who used to have odd times out, and I used to fill in all sorts of things. One minute I used to run with the paper up the cylinders to the bottom where the rolls are. Next one I used to be in the cutter house doing the cutting. So a jack of all trades near enough, really, you could say. Yeah.
Did you belong to any local clubs? Did you play football or cricket or any local?
Oh, we had a good football side. Yeah, we used to play Two Waters, the field over the other side, opposite the mill. We used to play on there. Yeah, I was the goalkeeper. I wasn't bad. In my day, I wasn't bad anyway. But yeah, they put a team in, put in the Uncle's Cup once. Funnily enough, I don't know why, but I never got played. I didn't get played in that. I never got picked. They put somebody else in goal anyway. They thought I was he was better than me. So they put him in, I think they lost about 10-1 or something like that. It was a massive score anyway. But I used to enjoy me football, yeah. Used to play lunchtime, used to go over there sometimes. Fitted up a few fixtures with other teams, you know. But I enjoyed it, I suppose.
So was it a friendly atmosphere generally where you worked and in these clubs? I know you had characters,
Well,
but was it generally...
There was, I mean, he always had characters. We used to have an old, very old chap. He was even old. I thought he was old anyway. And he used to make the size. And they used to make the size by boiling it up in a little room downstairs somewhere. Perhaps before barrels of size came in, they used the size that way. And he always used to see him walking up with his barrow, and it had a trolley thing inside with all the size, and he used to take out to the beta floor. And it always seemed to me as if he got all paper all stuck to his hands all over the place. It always seemed to be stuck up to paper. I don't know why. It's very sticky stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. We made all sorts of colours at one. We tried black. Black was that was terrible. Black. It doesn't matter how much you put black in there, you can never get it right. It never felt right, and it never looked right somehow. And they tried time and time again different chemicals, but it wasn't no better. The best one was orange. Oh, I used to love orange. £3. Of course, it wasn't so much liquid then, it was more powder, a lot more powder. And orange was a powder. And we used to put £3 of it in every beater and touch it up with red or something like that to make it look a bit different. But that was all right. But it used to float around all over the place. I used to go home and have a wash, and I used to be pink, red. Oh, it used to be horrible. It really did. And that chap, what's his name, what we said about,
George
I
Stevens?
remember his name now, Edwards. He did try to be a colourman. He didn't. He was no good. He wouldn't be any good at it. But he did try. And one day I watched him. I thought, what the devil's he doing? And he was sitting in where the water runs down the drain. And he was sitting there putting this hose pipe in his mouth. And the hose was coming out. I don't know what he'd been doing. He must have been eating it, biting it, something like that. And it got so much orange in his mouth, it was coming out of his mouth for ages before he went off. He was a crazy nut, no doubt about that.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much.
All right.
That's all
Okay.
brilliant. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ask again? 'Cause I'm not sure he heard when you talked about the change in the town.
Oh,
You just
the
talked about-
Newtown.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes. Good idea.
Did you want? The chap asked you about the changes in the town, Jim, from old Hemel Hempstead to the new town. Don't know whether you heard that question.
How it's
Yeah.
changed.
How it's changed from when you were a child, because you've lived in Hemel Hempstead your whole life, you know,
Born here.
and then you saw the changes with the way the town expanded, and then the new town became built in the 50s.
That's right, yeah.
It used to be a farm, didn't it, down the bottom where Woolworths was and everything. It used to be a farm, and used to be a run. You know, used to be a farm, didn't it? Where
Yeah,
Woolworths was
yeah.
in the town centre.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, of course, it's all totally changed now to what it used to be, isn't it? But, I went in the, well, after I went in the army, I was in the army for a while, and when I come out, that's when the changes started, really, when I came out of the army. Everything started to change then. Yeah. Not the same place now, really, as what it was. It used to be a lovely little village, lovely little town, really. It was a complete country town. You know, you could... I worked, before I went to... I worked for a grocer, cake bread, it's called. And I was only 13 and 14, I used to deliver stuff for them. And I had my first bike when I was about 14, I think. Well, the first one I had, I come off of it. Charlie, who I lived with at that time, Mrs. Evans, Charlie, her husband, gave me his old bike. And I come down the Elgin Hills, because I was living in Seaton Road at the time. And I come down the Elgin Hills and what a clever boy, no hands. And I got halfway down, the cable come off, I went in the wheel. I went straight over the top of it. I never killed myself actually, but I didn't. That was stupid really. But at that time of day, you know, I mean, there was very few cars about. Just a very, I mean, nobody had a car much then. There's a few commercial vehicles and that sort of thing, but I used to go home to dinner from there, and we had a bike then, and I used to go down that bike load video. I used to really go flat out as fast as I could try and see how fast I could get home from Marlowe's, from where George Capewell's shop was, to Seaton Road. And I reckon I could do it in a couple of minutes. I used to be so quick. I really was fast then. There you are. Those days are gone by, I'm afraid. I'm very, very slow now.